What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to another video, and today we're going to be taking a look at the new HHA NYTRX and Nytrx Pro sight lineup that was introduced here in 2025. Now, with the drop of the Nytrx lineup, they have discontinued the Tetra, Tetra Max, and Tetra Pro sights, reducing the number of options available to their consumers going forward in 2025. This change in the HHA lineup will make it easier for consumers to select a sight based on features, price point, while also allowing more flexibility to tailor the sight to your specific needs, whether it be hunting, shooting 3D, or going to a TAC event. Now, we are going to dive through the specs and features of this sight, but first I want to talk about the main differences between the Nytrx Pro and the standard Nytrx lineup. And the biggest difference is going to be the ability to swap out this roller wheel. Having the ability to swap out the roller wheel is extremely beneficial for anyone who likes to run multiple arrow configurations throughout the year, me being one of them. I like to have a hunting arrow, and then I also like to have a 3D arrow that is lower in weight, allowing me to shoot longer distances. Again, having that swappable roller wheel makes that whole sighting process very easy. Also, with the Nytrx Pro lineup, you will have the ability to customize the roller wheel. So if you want to go with a unique color option to match the bow that you are running, you'll have that ability to. And then also last year, HHA started introducing full Cerakote finish sights that is also going to be available only on the Pro version of the Nytrx. Now, shifting over and talking about the specifications, obviously, if you guys have looked at HHA sights before in the past, these are slider sights, so they're really giving you the ability to shoot long distance. This sight is constructed of 6061 aluminum, and just like their previous sights, they are giving you the ability to have a macro adjustment on the windage and then also a micro adjustment. Now, keep in mind, depending on the sight scope configuration that you go with, if you go with a horizontal pin, this is not a toolless method. You will need to carry around an Allen wrench to adjust your windage left and right, and that was to ensure that you guys had access to these horizontal pins. Keep in mind, these horizontal pins are not a micro adjust, so you will need to slide those into position. If you go with their single or double pin vertical setup, they do have that wing nut on the front, which I was a huge fan of. I think toolless sights is definitely a huge benefit from a sight-in standpoint. This sight is definitely coming with the same durability and ruggedness that HHA is known for. It's also backed by their lifetime warranty. HHA has always been outstanding with their customer service, so if anything happens to the sight through the life of ownership, they're really good about either repairing it or replacing it to get you back out in the field as quickly as possible. Now, as far as the mounting configuration, you will have the ability to choose from a direct mount, a dovetail mount, which I have here, and then also a pick mount. Keep in mind, with the dovetails, they are bridge lock compatible for the Matthews shooters, but last year they were offering you either a 7-inch dovetail or a short dovetail. This year they kind of went middle of the road and are just giving you the option for a 5-inch dovetail. Now, as far as the weight goes, there's definitely a range, obviously, being that there's a ton of different configurations with how you can customize this sight when you purchase it, but the weight is going to range anywhere from 12 ounces to 13 ounces. Again, that's based on the mounting configuration and then also the scope option you decide to go with. Now, as far as scopes, they are giving you a wide variety to choose from. You can go with a single pin vertical, double pin vertical, 3-pin horizontal, and then also a 4-pin horizontal, which I believe is new here this year. And then probably the biggest upgrade that this sight received, and probably the one that people are most excited about, is you now have the ability to adjust your first axis in addition to the second and third axis that was available on their previous options, further allowing you to really dial this sight in for your setup. And then also the adjustable pin indicators that they released last year on the HHA Tetra Rise X3 version has now carried over to the Nytrx lineup. This is definitely going to give you a little bit more flexibility, especially if you are someone who's going to want to play around with the various scope configurations that are going to be available. Now next, let's shift over and talk about the features. But before we do that, let's talk about what is new on the brand new Nytrx lineup. And for me, one of the most noticeable things was obviously the slide rail is different. There is a technical advantage to this new slide rail. It is giving you the overall adjustment length of 2.1 inches, which is a ½ inch longer than their previous ones. A lot of consumers were complaining about bottoming out the scope housing adjustment on this slide rail, especially if you were running a heavier poundage bow or had a longer draw length. So you should have no problem being able to sight this sight in. Also, you can see that they did change the wheel or the slide wheel. They did go with this nubbed out version. If you remember on the Tetra Max or Tetra Pro sights, it was rounded out with a little bit of dimpling on the roller wheel to provide a little bit of texture and grip. I do feel like this will probably work out a little bit better, especially if you were hunting with gloves or hunting in wet conditions, less likely for your hand to slip. And then also they did improve the gear system, providing you guys with tighter tolerances. That is just making this for an overall smoother roll up and down. That is one thing that I think HHA has always done fantastic across the board on all of their sights. But like I said, definitely super smooth from top to bottom, very easy to go through a full range of your sight with one turn of the wheel. They did carry over the side lock wheel, which I'm a huge fan of. It's just convenient, user-friendly, and locks the sight down without having to worry about this sight budging on you in a hunting situation or when you're going out and shooting on a 3D course. Now they are giving you the ability to now swap out scope configurations. So if you buy this in a single pin for a 3D setup and then you want to convert over to a horizontal pin for a hunting situation, you can easily do so without having to make a full investment on a brand new sight. Definitely a nice upgrade. They are backwards compatible with the Tetra and Tetra Pro lineup. So if you have a previous sight and you want to buy a Nytrx and then use your old scope housing, you will be able to do that. And then also probably one of the things that I am always most excited about when dealing with HHA is hands down the longest sight tape straight from the manufacturer. They are giving you the ability to shoot 145, 150 yards without having to go and individually sight in or manually sight in anywhere past 100 or buy a subscription. Like I said, straight out of the box, they're going all the way out to 150 yards. I think their sight tapes are the best on the market because they do have generous spacing in between sight lines. Even on their faster sight tapes, they're very easy to read. You don't need readers. You don't need to flip your binos around to magnify that to make sure that you're selecting the right yardage mark. They're very easy to read. Now next, let's quickly talk about the sight-in process. And if you are familiar with HHA sights, then you're going to know this. If you're dealing with a vertical pin or a horizontal pin, this is going to change. Vertical pin is definitely a little bit easier because all you need to do is position the scope housing up or down on the slide rail to 0 in your 20, and then from there you walk it out to 60. Your calibration tape is going to give you a number, and that number is going to correlate over to a sight tape, and it's that easy. With the horizontal pin configurations, there is an additional step, and if I personally were to shoot a horizontal pin slider, my goal would be to position my top pin pretty much in the middle or as close to the middle of that scope housing as possible. That's going to put your bottom two pins a little bit lower in that scope housing, giving you the ability to shoot the longest sight tape possible without running out of clearance. And what's nice is that they do give you this generous adjustment range on the slide rail. You can position that pin kind of in the middle of the scope housing, then play around with where you want this position to dial in that 20, and then you can go and slide those bottom two pins in position. Once you do that, you walk your top pin again, sight it in at 20, walk it out to 60, and then it'll give you a number on your calibration wheel, which again will correlate over to a sight tape, and you're ready to rock. But that's going to be it for this video, but I just wanted to quickly thank Chase over at Blankenship Outdoors for lending me this sight. He is going to be doing a review over on his YouTube channel. I'll put a link in the description below. He's putting out great content. If you guys don't mind, go over there, check his stuff out, subscribe to his channel, support what he's got going on. Other than that, awesome site, definitely worth checking out here in 2025. Keep in mind these are available up at Sunrise Archery, located out in Fenton, Michigan. So if you want to go there, check them out, get your hands on it, see if it's a site that you want to purchase, go up to Sunrise. Like I said, they do have a bunch of these in stock in various scope configurations and mounting brackets to suit all the flagship bows that are available on the market. But that's it for this video. If you guys have any other questions, leave me a comment below. If you guys have not subscribed to the channel, please do so. Your guys' support greatly helps me out, keeps me doing what we're doing. And until next time, stay safe, stay healthy. We'll see you guys on the next one.